Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we have some really great news and some really terrible news about New York State right now, in my opinion. And I've got to be very careful here because once again, we are on YouTube, and I don't want to get caught for cyberbullying somebody or harassing anybody or essentially having the wrong viewpoint and then being censored. Okay? So we're going to be very, very careful about what has just happened here. And what has just happened here is that a judge, and we will read a lot of this ruling because this judge has stricken down the mask mandates in New York State and within the schools all the way around just about as hard as you possibly could. Let me repeat that. They struck it down just as hard as you possibly could, which is a great thing, which is totally awesome. And guess what? They don't care. That's the terrible news. What you're reading up there in the title pertaining to these things is verbatim part of this judgment. So before we even really get going in this video, I want you to ask yourself, do you really live in a state that is part of a constitutional republic, right? A constitutional republic when a judge can rule this and then the governor just says, no, we're going to appeal it. And because we're appealing it, okay, because we're appealing it, everything will stay in place. Let me read this to you, okay? The petitioners herein bring this action on behalf of all minor school children and persons similarly situated within the state of New York alleging inter alia, okay? That is a law and not a permissibly enacted rule, null and void as a matter of law, improperly acted, constitutionally impermissible, and violative of their constitutional rights and unenforceable. Unenforceable. Okay? All right? And, you know, what I really like about this is this court says that this does not opine on the efficacy, need, or requirements of these things as a tool in dealing with you-know-what. All right? This is just whether or not they properly enacted and whether it can be enforced. And no, it cannot. No, it cannot. And we're going to read from this, and then we're going to show you, actually, even before we read some of the more damning things in this, okay? More damning. I mean, this puts it home. This puts it home. And I want you to think about this. We're just short of, say, these things being enacted in March of 2020, so about 22 months of many of these things just dominating on and off all of New York State. And a judge from Long Island finally says, no, this is crazy. They did not have the power, okay, to do this. And we'll read it. You know, first of all, when I saw this, that this even happened in New York, I was actually very, very happy. Okay, you know why I was happy? Because obviously I think that these people who are celebrating the Supreme Court decision are way misguided. And it was a terrible decision. Okay? And of course, you know, they hid behind the privatized mandates federally, right? But then when they got to healthcare workers, no, no, no. And that's why it's not a right or left issue. Okay? So what scares me right now is these authoritarians are openly saying, we don't care about the Constitution. The Constitution is just a piece of paper. It's completely outdated. It has no relevance to the society, the Great Reset, okay, the Build Back Better agenda that we're putting forth, which is all repackaged New World Order propaganda. So by the way, if you're new to the channel and you're just seeing this and you're hearing about this ruling, and it's a huge ruling, Because if they rule this in New York State, obviously this sets a great precedent for a lot of other things down the line, especially when you read some of this. Because, again, spot on. Check out all the documentary films. They're right here. They're right here in the playlist section, YouTube. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, okay? Shade the Motion Picture, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, Fabled Enemies, and, of course, Loose Change Final Cut. You know, there are parents out there that are just outraged that they fought this hard. They get the ruling and the judgment, and the judge is like, yeah, no, this is all unconstitutional and was never enacted correctly and is not enforceable. And yet they're just going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. We got the GoFundMe down below. Odyssey has backed me up because YouTube kicks me off all the time. Hopefully we're not going to get kicked off of this video. I'm pushing it. I'm daring to show the mainstream media and saying I agree with the judge on their decision. Okay, who knows who I could be cyberbullying. But all the uncensored stuff is free over at rockfin.com/Jason Burmis. And I thought it was interesting today, you know, while Neil Young was writing letters saying that he wanted Joe Rogan taken off of Spotify, or he wants to leave Spotify. Rogue, if that ever happens, he just has to Rockfin and jump the platform off ski and hutch. It would be huge. Everybody knows it, period. I mean, that's, and they know that he knows that. Oh, we're over here, huh? Guys, again, all the docs are here. I'm on Getter. Let's get to this news clip, okay? That's what I really want to show. So this is how it's portrayed. Again, it's portrayed like the authoritarians are in control and they're going to do whatever they want. It doesn't matter. So, I mean, this stuff is breaking in the last like 5 or 6 hours. And they reported early that the judge had ruled against the mandates. And now right away.
Developing right now on the news at 10, sources tell News 12 the governor's office plans to appeal a ruling that struck down New York's mask mandate.
Yeah, it's a story you saw first exclusively on News 12's digital and social platforms.
And News 12's Tama Ponton joins us live from Levittown now with the very latest on this. Tama.
Well, Macy and Jesse, with that appeal expected on the ruling, here is what we've learned tonight from the state education department. And this is something parents are going to want to pay close attention to. The state education department saying with the appeal expected, schools must continue to follow the mask rule.
So now I want you to think about that. The New York State education system that is supposed to be teaching the children there about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, right? And due process, right? And the Republic and what a democracy truly means in those regards is going to disregard all of it. They're going to disregard all of it. Because an unelected authoritarian calling herself the governor says they're going to appeal. And because of this, again, this wasn't just for schools. This was the entire state. And just like when Biden got up there and read the talking points after the ruling 6-3, he said, well, hopefully private businesses will still go with these mandates. The private businesses can still do this. And look, we have to wage lawfare back because they've gone beyond lawfare and openly made dictates and authoritarian decrees that are completely and totally unconstitutional. Wait till we read the document.
Now, that rule was actually the only topic of discussion here at an Island Trees School District meeting tonight, where board members actually voted unanimously to give people the choice to wear masks in school buildings once the mandate expires.
Hopefully with this mandate being struck down, hopefully tomorrow the kids are in school without a mask.
Island Trees parent Brian Peranzo, who we spoke with at tonight's school board meeting, says he is hoping the state Supreme Court ruling striking down the state's mask mandate for schools and public locations will mean no masks in school tomorrow. But Professor James Sample with Hofstra Law says that's unlikely.
In terms of what the average rank and file New Yorker can anticipate, I would expect that tomorrow, for example, schools, grocery stores, and businesses will still be subject to the mask mandate. I have every confidence that the governor's office will be seeking to stay this order.
Nassau.
Let me just stop it right there. Think about that. rank and file New Yorker. In other words, person that's going to listen to the great narrative, to the authoritarians, to the private businesses that want to dictate this, to the school board that no longer believes in the Constitution and Bill of Rights. All of these things. I mean, how long did it take to get to the state Supreme Court during these times? I mean, this ruling is huge. We need to read it.
County Executive Bruce Blakeman, who has been pushing hard against the governor's mask order since it was issued, says he is hopeful the ruling will stand.
I'm very energized by the court's ruling, and I believe that if an appellate court reviews the decision of Justice Rademacher, they will see that it is a well-principled, sound order, and that it's based on the law and the Constitution of the state of New York.
Well, Tama, with all this movement, this is bound to cause confusion for parents, students, and teachers about the masks. We've heard from the State Department of Education, but what are you hearing from the parents tonight?
Well, Mason, we actually reached out to some parents after this ruling came down and after all these changes a few hours ago. And I actually spoke with a parent in the Copeg School District who actually told me that they were told by the school that, quote, as they await further direction from the court, masks will be optional in their schools.
And I really hope more people take the direction that person's taking, because that district and school system is taking, because they realize that when you look at this now, okay, there is no precedent that once something is struck down as unconstitutional and not legal and unenforceable, that you still do it anyway, especially when it comes to 20 million plus lives in New York. All right. Okay, so let's just read some of this, okay? Because it's huge when they say where they talk about basically coalescing circumstances, and they also talk about research, right? The best research. Let's see, where was it? They talk about the contact tracers, by the way, okay? And contact tracing to investigate, identify, and contact individuals for the purpose of containing you know what. Title 8 limits that contact tracing to efforts necessary to protect public health, and the legislator provided significant protection of personal and information of privacy. It does not address the use of masks. So again, they tried to bring up the contact tracing because they got it through the courts, and they say no. It doesn't have any statutory on these mandates whatsoever. Okay? Let's see. Where is this? It sucks because I can't. I didn't make it into a Word document. Basically, they talk about how here it is, peer-reviewed research. Okay? It is clear that 10 NYCRR was promulgated without any substance justification for the emergency adoption as required by State Administrative Procedure Act. As the only justification the respondents offered for emergency adoption was entirely conclusatory, and in their answer to the instant matter of respondents simply cite to the Commissioner's determination December 10th, 2021. Remember, that is literally what? A month and a half ago? Alleging was merely a readoption of the prior determination of August. See, they keep extending these 6 months at a time. All right? Except that the new rule included peer-reviewed research. As research is continuing daily, it is difficult to comprehend how the mere inclusion of peer-reviewed research, again, semantics, hashtag safe and effective, hashtag alone together. Again, it's a three-word phrase that they're including. Peer-reviewed research could not be used as a launching pad to continuously adopt the same rule every time the current rule expires ad infinitum. In other words, until they just want to do it, and that's what they've been doing. One could argue that the you-know-what had been going on, and therefore the need to explain the entire justification or rationale for emergency adoption of the rule was unnecessary. Perhaps a reasonable argument, however, it is one that is legally insufficient in this instance, as it ignores the requirements, and maybe more importantly, the purpose and spirit of the State Administrative Procedure Act, which at its very core ensures against administrative lawmaking. You can't make a law. These things are unenforceable. Okay? Lastly, inasmuch as petitioners have been and continue to be subject to an improperly enacted law that is void, as well as there being in violation of New York State constitutional principles, the irreparable harm suffered is patent, and therefore an injunction is warranted. In other words, they're allowed to sue you because you did this. Okay? Do you get it? They don't like this ruling. This is a huge ruling. This basically says you could do this. You can't just make laws and enact emergencies in perpetuity and say peer-reviewed research. You see it? I mean, just boom, 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 boom. It's there, right there. Boom. Permanently. Boom. And it's going to be spun every which way you can imagine tomorrow in the mainstream media. Hey, my video might even get pulled. It might get fact-checked. You can go find the document yourself. It's actually right where that video is. Bronx News 12. I think I posted, and on my social media, follow me at Jason Burmis. You'll be able to check it out. But you can get the whole document right there, full court document. We like to read the documents here on air. And this is a big one. But at the same time, you live in a state where they're just saying, no, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. Think about that. Think about that. A judge just ruled it all unconstitutional. We're going to do it anyway. And we're going to do it to your children. And guess what? It doesn't matter if you voted Democrat or Republican, or you're a conservative or a liberal or an independent, or you're Hispanic or you're Asian or you're white or you're black. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's why we all need to come together and realize this is it. Unelected authoritarians on behalf of a predator class are having their way with us, and especially in New York. So, you know the deal. It's not about left or right. It's always about right and wrong. And I love you guys, and I will see you on the flip side.